As we start a second time, another time around, I'm sorry. Um, Player, the orange player with D went. You can see he's got a number of these things. He did some poaching, picked up a new nerd that way. But he also picked up one of these cheap. A lot of people, including himself, have suits sitting in the zero space, which means somebody else can buy them for $1, in addition to whatever they can buy from the cup. The two guys they can recruit out of the new pool or whatever. They can go to other industries, other companies, and just hire people away with no problem at very cheap costs. I'm not sure what this is all supposed to represent. There's a certain degree of specialization in the industries involved. If you're looking at, well, they're all internet industries, but to some extent, you can hire probably technical people. I guess what it doesn't make sense is that the pool of total available laborers isn't always really there, but it's a hard limit. It feels kind of funny. I can only hire 2 new people at any one time, but I can hire as many people as I have cash from anywhere else. Recruitment doesn't really work that way. If you want more people, you can get more new, fresh people, right? If they're skilled, they're coming from your industry, so they're already on the board. If they're not skilled, they are as good as skilled, and they're coming from the cup, and I'm not sure what that's supposed to represent. It's kind of this very odd sort of thing. And the fact that, if 5 of the 6 companies refuse to buy skilled technical or business people, I mean, in both cases, there are certain, abilities, talents that are specific to the industry. But there should just be sort of this steady pool of available people. And if other people don't take those available people, you should have the opportunity to, or whatever. You shouldn't be in this position where you can only buy 2 if other people aren't buying. And market is what the market is. Prices and wages would go up, and all kind of complex stuff is going on here that isn't really represented by the hiring practices in this game. I'm intrigued by a game where hiring is such an important thing. Unfortunately, Euros have this tendency to say, the real cost isn't just the amount that you're willing to spend, but it has to do with all kinds of other factors that we're going to gloss over and just hide and actually probably not represent in any sort of way at all. They're probably not just an abstraction. It's probably just hey, I think this is a cool game, and I'm not going to worry about any kind of simulation at all in it. And to me, that kind of feels funny. And that's all I have to say. If something kind of directly contradicts what my gut impulse is about it, and then the decision's been made only for gameplay purposes and having nothing to do with any sort of, any sort of model that's underlying the game, then I'm flabbergasted by the whole thing. It's like, why are you representing something in this game? That's a common problem that I have when I face Euros, because they aren't representing. Now, granted, Monopoly's not representing something properly either, so, clearly it's a good business model for games to not necessarily try to simulate things, but it always sticks in my craw. Needing to take breaks in the midst of turns at this point, but so I've swung around this far, and what we're seeing is people just constantly stealing back and forth. Workers who are kind of in that mid-level of the 2s. Those cost 3 pips each. For nerds, that's worth it. I haven't gone to paying extra to poach suits yet. It just doesn't seem terribly valuable. And you can see everybody's all clustered together. The only exception, D over here. D is part of orange, C and D, and there's only one unfloated or unlaunched company, which is H. As soon as that gets launched, then the game is going to end at the end of this year. There are people, probably with leaks. I think Blue has one. but they don't want to play it yet. They want to know I'm going to win the game if I play this. It doesn't serve a lot of purpose to throw it out there before that. And you can play it out there after the competition phase, at which point you will know whether or not you're going to win. And that's basically the thing. Now, next turn, it's over. There's almost no way H could move all of their green markers out of, all of their nerds out. They still have a big nerd. The only way they can not score that is to get that off the board. So I'm going to roll a minimum of a 1. I'll be launching next turn pretty much without fail. It's very hard to prevent yourself. So if someone who has a leak isn't in a position to win at the end of this turn, next turn it's pretty assured that whoever does the best next turn wins the game. Okay, on G's turn, they managed to shoot way up here. They had a lot, not as much as they have, of nerds. They actually paid to drop a bunch of the nerds down, figuring a buck each is worth holding on to things that other people can steal. They also did some poaching of their own. At this card, I think it's worthless. I just don't think these things are worth turning in 5 victory points for cash. Cash isn't going to get you 5 victory points in general. So it's basically, for most of the people, $1 a victory point. This guy could turn in 8, which, what can you do with $8? Well, you can maybe gain a few spaces here. Say 2 spaces is probably what you can count on getting because of being able to poach 2 nerds or something like that. Maybe 3 at the best. We're talking 6 victory points there. That's worth it, but I think it's unlikely. I think we're probably talking more like 4 victory points for it at best. And that's assuming you have the time to invest those in time. I think it's hard to tell because, of course, any nerds that you grab are going to be worth something to you. Maybe just go big on that. Nah. So here's the problem. The problem is H. H isn't revealed. I don't have a leak. I don't have a way of getting it over the border. If I did, I think I'd have a pretty good chance of winning with the purples, but I don't think that's the case right now. But, I could turn some of these in for a bunch of victory points. There's no question of that. What about here? If I take those $8 each, I might be able to turn the victory points into more even. Because remember, I'll be able to shift the nerds over at will. So if I could get 3 spaces here, that's worth 6 victory points. What? Yeah, that's the same. So we're talking about the same holding. I don't think I can get more than 6 victory points. I think 4 is more likely the case, so I'm going to hold on to my shares right now. Green made it to about here. Well, somebody knocked out playing, I don't remember what, a product failure against them. Knocked out their lawyer. Their lawyer decided to step in and prevent that. Well, now that they don't have a lawyer, Red stepped in and hit them for, hey, give me $7 when you have none. You could raise it using shares if you want, or 7 victory points. Well, 2 shares is 10 victory points, obviously. It's not worth collapsing it there, so they got thrown back. Purple lawyer, they got by easily. Nobody shot down. Their lawyer got shot, but nobody took a second shot at them, even when they rushed ahead like that. We're on the last couple people. Okay, so after we did the competitions, I haven't moved these yet. This guy's thinking he's going to hold on to this. If he has cash at the end of next turn, he can position the cash into marketing. He could have done that this turn, but now it may become a goal for him as opposed to before, and it's worth holding for that. For victories, well, over here on the S, social ranking, purple ranks highest with 15, and that's full, so they're going to go up 12. Now, their social networking is G. way up there, but that's in a further risky zone. This is weird because established internet companies tend to, at least in the short run, be harder to bring down. Smaller ones, they can fade away pretty quickly, but once you get up to 100 million users, well, it's going to be hard to get rid of, to significantly decline that, but there's big lawsuits and stuff like that that are worked into it, and it kind of does make sense the way they do it. It just feels funny. Yellow is only going to go up 3. You can see it just broadens the tail, the negative tail here. So yellow's social networking is B, and God knows where that's hiding. Okay. Notably, this can't move. It's not competing. Okay. Now we go down to the 2 8s, green and blue. Green is going to go only -1, and that's L. Whereas blue's social networking, J, is going down 3. And then we start getting down the tail. Orange is down 5. That's going to be C. And then finally down 7 for red. Red got hosed in terms of poaching. And that's all very much in the control of the players, you know, the poaching and factors like that, who you're going to hit and how you're going to hurt them. Over on the e-commerce, we only have 5. Our big one here is yellow, who gets the 12. That's going to be A. Goes eBay or Amazon. +3 is going to go to greens. +3 to K. Next is orange, which gets -3. That's going to be D. Poor D. And now we're down to red, which will be at -5, which is F. And now, last but not least, is blue, who got hosed here with a -7 over on the 5 chart. -7 on I. And you can see, now that things have stretched out, the only person with a with the chit that they want it, this guy's gonna play this to get it out of his hand. No reason to hold on to crap like that. The only person with the leak card who could end the game here, well, he's pretty far behind and isn't gonna do it at this point. He may hold on to that. It prevents it from getting reshuffled into the deck, and it is a powerful card that can end the game, except this is almost a certain to go ahead, so that's worth discarding, I guess. And now we'll handle the rest of the mechanics at the end of the turn. There's, wow, a couple of lawyers I didn't fire off there. They should have been plinking at blue. Well, yeah, yellow could have plinked at blue. He had two lawyers in his hands. He could have shot blue twice during blue's turn. Purple's strong positioning of a lot of nerds into this space for H. We know the game's going to be over. This is going to push through there, and now it's just a question of the race. This is close. B here has 4 points on me, whereas I only have 1 here. But with that strong nerd presence, I'm hoping I can push faster than B's presence. B's got a lot of nerds too, though, so I don't know. It really is going to come down to the cards and such not. And also, people are going to be shooting them. There's no question there. There's a bunch of negative cards that can hit those guys. There's the user dissatisfaction, which is going to hit them harder than anyone else probably. Well, actually, people may target the more valuable lower spaces on those same players. Well, you can't hit this until it crosses the boundary. But the reason that I'm focusing on, upping the lowest spaces is because those lowest spaces are the more valuable ones. I should hit them with my negatives too. So you shouldn't have a bunch of so-so companies, and this is actually fairly realistic. What you should have is a couple runaways who are doing pretty well, and everybody else gets shot down. I've just been playing poorly, which is one reason for the negatives coming out here. And I suspect I've been playing poorly in a lot of different ways. You can see everybody's thrown what money they have into marketing. This turn is kind of a weird one. We know it's going to end. We knew beforehand, basically, anyway. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to try to obtain more suits. Suits aren't going to help you at this stage of the game. Suits bring you money next turn if you build new suits. Nerds bring you advances next turn if you get more advances, but nerds also give you the competitive edge, and that's what is really going to be happening in each player's turn, is they're going to be trying to collect nerds. Whatever they have when they get to their turn, great. They get to score that in the sense of they get to move on the track with it, and they get to collect cash for that and use that cash to buy things. But the things they're buying, they're going to want to buy nerds, which is pretty much par for the course throughout the game. Nerds are what you want. Although people have been hosed for not having a lawyer available, and lawyers are definitely potentially very powerful. All right, entering into what we know is the last turn. Kind of reflect on this. A lot of games have this, where the whole game was aiming towards this one turn, right? A lot of these multiplayer, follow a victory track type of games work on this, where you're trying to position yourself in the location where maybe you're not the one that everybody's going to look at and see as the threat, and that you'll be in the best position that doesn't get hit hard, basically. There is no really running away with the game in this game, and in a game that's kind of balanced to try to generate that, there is no running away. It's almost naturally what the result is. There's no good answer, I've mentioned this in other games. You're either sitting on a there was a runaway leader issue, or you're sitting on an issue where you're trying to position yourself. What's weird about this one, what's particularly frustrating with a game like this, and maybe also with, say, Andean Abyss and the whole coin series that I've got somewhere up here. I'm not finding them. I know they're up here. Okay, maybe there it is. There it is. I just couldn't see it. Is this kind of okay? But there's this big luck element at the end in Andean Abyss and most of the coin games. Well, the other coin game that I've seen, Distant Plain. It's fairly easy to keep yourself close, and it really is true in Here I Stand too, and a number of other games. But you're then in this kind of, okay, we're all close, and then one big piece of luck. In the case of Andean Abyss, it's a single card flipping over. In the case of Here I Stand, it's the hand you have. In the case of this, it might be the competition die roll. It's a number of different issues, but there's going to be a lot of luck in this last turn. So a lot of people who are in striking distance, and you could say, well, what about the big lead they have here? Yeah, but that's going to disappear. We'll see that go away largely. Maybe not entirely, but largely. Analyze or examine the cards that each player has access to for their own turn. I find a few that are of use and that immediately get played. Notably, a leak launches this immediately. That means people can shoot it quicker. A retention, dropped a couple of nerds back to my 4 box. That strongly protects some of my at-risk nerds. They were over in the one box. They probably would have been eaten up from there. A lot of people have very low vested people. Pink is going to play the schedule slip because they're in last place on the order, so they want to hit someone. They would like to hit yellow, but yellow's B is not that big a hurt. Green and blue are interesting. Blue's got one way in the lead. I don't feel like blue's a huge threat though, so I'm going to actually shoot the green one here. And we'll see how much I remember to use my lawyers and my attack cards properly. I'm constantly having kind of a problem with that. Well, everybody's kind of done everything they want to do before we actually start. So now player company D is going to go. And, well, they're going to start trying to do what they can. But there are certain companies that are very clearly poised a lot better than others. And that's where things are going to be. It's not what's on the track so much as what you're holding, because that's easy to hit, but what you're holding here is what's important. And the people who've gotten ahead on the track are actually holding some pretty good stuff, I would say. Yellow and purple are doing pretty well. Green is fair, blue is fair, but you can see like red and orange have really been hit hard, and that's why they're in the position they're in. Nice card most turns. This might be particularly useful on this final turn of the game. It gives you an extra turn at the back end of the alignment. I stepped in because I wanted to note how much pillaging is going on. So purple had a lot of nerds, and they've just been being stripped away from the 2 space that they've got. Really, everyone's 1s are gone. Red may have had one now. Red has it too. But like red, for example, has been gathering up nerds, etc. So, you know, when you were in a good position for a turn or two, it's hard to maintain that, especially since you'll go so late that you can't drop your guys down for $1 each, for whatever value that is. All right, and I guess we'll go to H, which is liable to draw some fire before they go. Let us hit them with a project failure, I guess, just to prevent them from gaining any ground. The problem here is, of course, yellow is in better shape, but yeah. Purple's got a lawyer. Here's the question. Does the product failure count as worse than, say, when G comes around, someone hitting it for 8 hits? You know, I don't think so. And that's almost bound to happen. So I'm going to just let the product failure happen, which is, you know, hitting my more valuable commodity, but that's okay. We've made our way almost all the way around the actions. And everybody's kind of held off their lawyers to hit yellow. Yellow is actually in kind of a winning position at this moment. So purple will open the fire off, and yellow will block 1. They just gained this position. They haven't gotten their cash yet. Now the next one, red will hit them. They'll take 1 down. And now green hits them. And now they've got the choice. Give money you don't have, which wouldn't help green. Well, actually it would, because green and blue are hoarding up money to throw in for huge marketing campaigns. They've got the cards that allow you to drop money on the marketing shit at the end. This is a card worth holding for the end. We were talking about that before. Okay, so now I'm hit, and I take an 8-point drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I'll get a little bit less income and be in a much worse position in terms of victory points as well. I don't know how much effect there is, but the end game procedure runs completely through, which means people can get new cards and everything. There's a possibility that some of those cards do something. I'm really kind of unhappy about that. But anyway, we're ready to check the conditions, and now this marketing spread is going in. And the question is, which company does blue want to prefer? I don't know where I is down here, so it would gain the more. I've got a shot here at not losing much ground in e-commerce. So if I wanted to put it, I don't know. And likewise, green is going to be playing the same kind of card. So let me do a drop, see who goes first. Green's going to be going first. Green could win either if they dump in. Which one's more important to them, L or K? Well, they're in the same space. I've got a little bit of edge on L. Let's just say we're going to lose with K, and we'll throw these in here. And that means that the social networking is less likely to be valuable to blue. But blue may well do fine position-wise in the e-commerce. So I think I'm going to dump into social network as well. We'll see if that was a wise choice. And now I'm going to roll some dice and get that out of the way. I'm not going to do this live, even though this is sort of this is the penultimate, this is the exciting moment of the game. This is really where it's going to be decided, I think. Okay, so those dice have been rolled, and I need myself a thing to plug in on. My hands aren't working. Should have done this. Usually I can get it by well enough. Should have done that before I started videoing. Sorry about that, but once I start videoing, I can't waste a video, essentially. I don't know. Okay, I guess I could have recopied and deleted it and recopied it. But anyway, our number one case here for social marketing is going to be blue. And everything's revealed, so they get 12 off their social. Their social's J. Putting this there. Number 2 will be green. They're only getting 3 off this. It's a minor thing to get second place here. That's L. But it sucks to get worse than that. So number 3 is yellow, which is -1. Yellow's social is B. Number 5 is either purple or orange. It's going to be orange. For number 4. They're at -2. Orange, C goes down 2. And then we go up to purple for number 5. That's -5. That's off their big G. And this is why you can't really tell until the dice are rolled, because some of these could be quite close. And then last but not least, we get to poor red, which is going to be -7 on their social, which is E. And no one's using that. Okay. And now we have to do the same over here on the e-commerce. And our number 1 is red, who's going to get 12 on their other thing, F. Now 2 is tied between blue and orange. Blue's going to win it. They get 3 on I. And that puts them in pretty good condition, actually, on the charts right now. Nobody's going to do better than, I think they've got the win here because of that. Orange ends up at -1. This is e-commerce. That'll be D. Now we're at, what, number 4, I think, which is -2 to yellow's e-commerce. Yellow's e-commerce is A. Now second to last on purple's e-commerce, that's -5. It's on H. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then our final and losing person is Green's e-commerce K. They're back 7. 1, 2, 3. It looks to me like Blue's won. I'll add up the points just to make sure. But yeah, that is about where we're at. I'm not going to deal out the damn cards. I don't think that they can have any effect. So let me make sure I've got this right. Now, it would be possible to gain money off those cards. So if there was a tie, you might have to go to the cards and see who draws. That's pretty damn goofy, though, as far as I'm concerned. I think the game should end without dealing with this crap. Okay. So our leader is indeed Blue at 158. Second place is going to be Yellow at 140. Now, Yellow was right in it up to the end and throughout this turn. So there's, something of a shock that Blue got the win if you looked at the situation before the game. But, they were at least in it there. Second. Third place is Green at 136. Green was definitely in it. You don't feel too badly about seeing that. Fourth is Red at 118. And you're beginning to say, wait a minute. Aren't we missing someone here? Yeah. Fifth is Purple at 116. They're down as bad as the guy who looked like they were in the worst shape of all. And then our actual worst shape is Orange, who really wasn't doing too well either, but he looked like he was doing better than Red. So you can see how scrambled and random that last turn is going to be. Obviously, you hold on to your, ability to slip a bunch of marketing into place, whatever that is, I don't know what it's called, the market spend. Those are really potent. And if you have that and a marketing success between them, or maybe a couple market spends, you could buy your way into a couple of markets. Getting first place in something is so big in terms of the jump you get. So what it comes down to is, if you're close, like Blue and Green were close, they both had, I think in the social network, a very good shot at getting them. Green actually had the better advantage. Blue outrolled them. Bang, they win the game. Why? Well, because it's a 9-point difference between the two positions, right? So, let's see. If Blue had gotten 9 less, they'd be at 149, and this would be at 145. So it wasn't enough to make that difference, but it was close. It would have been a much closer game had Green gotten that win instead. It could have been close enough that it swung the game, but as it turned out, Green did pretty piss poor over on the e-commerce. And there wasn't much they could do about that. And it's funny because they were doing pretty well on it, back in the earlier thing. But, your employees get to be at risk and somebody seizes all your nerds. Anyway, let's send this up and I guess I'll give it a review of some sort or another. It's really tough because I don't feel like I'm capturing what's kind of the most interesting. To me, this reminds me of kind of like a backgammon type game for multiple players, is what it really comes down to. And that's not something I'd play solitaire, and it's not something I'd judge solitaire. Backgammon's a fine game where you're rolling dice and, I need this to happen. Well, this has a lot of that spirit, and I think it works fine in that. It doesn't work fine as a Euro, which is what unfortunately it was kind of marketed to. And it looks like a Euro, right? All those cubes and everything, but there's so much die rolling, so much luck going on, and it's big luck, big swings, that, I think it was sold to the wrong type of person. On the other hand, hey, if what you want is a game with lots of dice rolling and stuff, you could play Yahtzee, right? Yes, there's a lot of strategy in this, but, once you kind of do something reasonable with your strategy, as long as you don't get yourself completely hosed, it comes down to combination of the cards and the dice and whatnot, really pushing it through. Yes, there are things you can do to really improve your position there, but the luck swings are big enough that it might not matter too much.